Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of three opinionated guys with mics and too much free time. Strong enough to stop a speeding movie rumor, more powerful than a bad comic book event, able to waste hours of time asking stupid questions to people who have better things to do. It's Dave, Ben, and John. It's Superhero Speak.
Hey everyone, you're listening to Superhero Speak, and I'm your host Dave.
And Ben.
And John.
Oh, John.
Big bad John.
Are you tired from this weekend?
Well, I still can't feel my legs, so I'll let you know after I get back from the doctor. It was a long weekend.
But was it a fun weekend?
Well, I have a picture of me with Agent Carter, so yeah, I'm kind of happy about it. It was it was fun. Except for all the pogs for some reason.
Oh. Those are bad?
They had infested the place.
As you may have guessed, John and I, poor Ben, he has to play the straight man this week.
Apparently.
We were at...
You guys.
We were at Wizard World Philly 2016 this year, and we had a lot of fun, and I had to say, first off, it was interesting. How's that? Well, because the first thing everyone noticed that they took over the entire top floor of the convention center this year. So right away off the bat, you're like, oh my God, it's the biggest one they've ever done, right? Isn't that what you would think, Ben?
That's what I would think.
I've never been to one there,
doesn't
so
get
I
any
know.
bigger than as big as it was this year.
Uh-huh.
But then, we kind of noticed all the vendors were talking and whatnot, and all the artists, everything was more spread out this year. There was a lot of space between, the autograph area and the artist alley, and the artist alley tables were wider apart. And they had a lot different vendors. I think we talked about this before with the Great Philly Comic Con. The first year for the Great Philly Comic Con, they had, bathroom fitters there and some weird vendors that didn't really fit with comic book convention.
Yeah.
Like the underpants.
I was going to say... They didn't have them at the Great Philly Comic Con this year. They had them at Wizard World.
Right.
There was even an event. Oh, go ahead, John.
There was more room for them there. Yeah. And we still didn't find, and here we're going to blow our PG rating. We still, I could never, I was all over that place. I must have walked 20 freaking miles. I saw at least 8 booths just for Pogs, but I never found the rumored sex toy shop.
Don't you know that Pogs is code? He doesn't know how to use the Pogs.
Oh, boy.
One of the other vendors had told us that... one of the guests that we have interviewed for this, and we'll get to that in a little bit, had told us, and one of the vendors did confirm that they did see it. There was, I believe it was called Adult Oasis or something like that, and... They had a couple things out, and you had to go in the booth to see the fun stuff, as it were. Yeah, not quite the booth you want at a family-friendly comic book convention.
Generally not. Could rub people the wrong way. I'm here all night.
It could. Tip your waitress. Yeah, so there's that. It was, though this was a year with a lot of stars. I mean, they had most, if not all, but they had most of the Marvel actors there this year. Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston.
They had all the Chris's.
Haley Atwell.
Mm-hmm.
What?
They had all the Chris's.
Yes, they had all the Chris's. And Haley, John slobbered all over.
I did not. Security took me out for a completely different reason.
By the way, she looks great for her age.
Oh, right. Just like you, Ben.
Isn't she actually dead?
She's just sleeping.
Oh.
Well, she may not be dead, actually, but her grandniece is, because it was asked during one of the panels what Agent Carter would have done had she discovered her grandniece, Agent 13, kissing her old beau, and she said, I would have sent her home to her room.
Yeah. Well, it is a little bit weird. Considering all the baggage there, there was a history there. And especially given current events, I don't know if he's the right guy for someone who's so straight-laced, being that he's playing for the other team now.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
Not
the
that
other team. Oh.
The one with all the tentacles.
Oh, the Hydra.
Now, what, hentai? I didn't hear about that team.
I was wondering when something like that would come up.
No, you just
The
forced
other
that to
team
come
with
up.
tentacles. Other tentacles.
Uh-huh.
You and your... No. He's a Hydra agent now, right?
Yeah, sure, right. Whatever you say. Come on, you know that's going to be retconned as soon as it gets old.
So obviously we all know that this is just a temporary thing, that somehow this is not going to stick, and he'll be back to his red, white, and blue, all for the USA thing in no time.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, too, because I kind of felt like they definitely have done things in the cartoon to align it more with the movies, and I felt like one of the things they were trying to get out of this whole Secret Wars combining all their worlds thing was to try to align the comic books a little more with these, but I can't see them doing that in the movies. It just doesn't fit. Yeah,
no. Well, I think the alignment is loose, though. Like, for instance, they're doing a new Civil War event right now in the comics, but it's nothing like the one that they did in the movies, like Civil War II. Right. There's a lot of ways that the comic book universe is not in parity with what's going on in the movie universe. Although at the same time they are trying to jerry-rig the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. into the Marvel comic universe. Though I think they're not doing it badly. I think they're doing a decent job because they put Coulson and Fitz and Simmons and Agent May into the comic world. But they've done it in a loose interpretation and an interesting, different take.
But this has happened before. I mean, look at all the stuff that Bruce Timm introduced into the comic world. You know, I mean, take Harlequin. I mean, geez, you know, okay, one of the biggest characters ever, and that came from the animated universe.
Right.
So, you know, it's not unheard of, and it's actually usually a good thing because you're getting characters from out of the box to disrupt things.
Right. Yeah, and some of them work and some of them don't. Like, not everything is going to all fit together and be cohesive, but some things, you know, can translate and can work. And you can have two different universes that coexist with similar characters that don't have to be the same.
Right. But speaking of fitting things together and making things cohesive
and segue.
Now this didn't come out of the convention, but this did hit the internet this week. Apparently, Marvel and Fox are negotiating right now. This is a rumor. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but apparently Fox for years has been after the rights to a X-Men TV show, which Marvel still holds.
Right.
And Marvel has now said if they want the rights to do this show, they need to give back the Fantastic Four. And apparently the rumor is that they have agreed to it.
Wow. That's a big thing. That's a big move.
I can see how those negotiations go now. So, Fox, about those turd blossoms.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. Yes, that may be what the negotiation was, but Marvel's smart. So this is not going to be the point where Marvel starts to try to reboot and do the Fantastic Four right, although they could, but I don't think they're going to jump on it. What they're going to use this for is a means to introduce all of the villains they've not been able to touch, such as Skrulls and Kang the Conqueror.
I'm sorry, did you say squirrels?
Skrulls.
Sorry, that was just
Skrulls.
in my head.
Skrulls.
That would work.
Possibly Galactus and various other cosmic villains that they've not been able to touch because they're tethered to the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, and like we were talking about at the show, they're going to need somebody after Thanos, and who better to become the big bad after that than the big boss man himself, Galactus.
He could be an interesting storyline, but you also could go with someone that you could at least do a little smaller of a story with, potentially, or an ongoing, similar to the way Loki played into the universe and played, across a couple different things and was as much a villain as an anti-hero at times. Is they could do a similar thing with Kang the Conqueror. Like, he could come in.
Oh yeah, true.
And be a bad guy, but in a sort of misunderstood sort of way, and actually have good motives. But it could be something they'll have to work out and come to the table to
Well, Kang's motivation was to save his girlfriend. That was basically it. But that's a good enough one.
Essentially what this really does is it opens up doors wide open for Phase 4 and gives them plenty of directions they can go with
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
they also recently got back Namor.
Ooh. And he fits in with the Fantastic Four beautifully.
He does.
But I can talk to fishes.
Yeah, but he's got a thing for Sue Storm. I mean, there's that whole love triangle,
Wouldn't that be an interesting... If they did reboot the Fantastic Four, and rather than going the Doctor Doom route, their first foray with the Fantastic Four was to bring in Namor.
Well, that would be the smart thing to do, seeing as how... Well, actually, it would be the smart thing to do, seeing as how we've had Doom twice and failed, though Marvel would do Doom right.
Right, they would. He would actually be a ruler of Latveria that mastered the dark arts and was a technical genius.
Yeah, I've always wondered why Fox was afraid Latveria world.
Yeah. I mean, they referenced it in the first movie, in the the original Fantastic Four and Rises of Silver Surfer. He was
offhand.
But it was it was very offhand. He didn't have any sort of accent, or he was like a businessman. He wasn't he was from Latveria, but it was sort of like this background thing that they sort of glossed over.
Right. And of course, then he got imaged as a hacker. But anyway.
Right.
You had also mentioned, Loki.
Yes.
And something that did come out of this convention was, we all know by now that Tom Hiddleston, there's rumors that he's been in negotiations to play James Bond, to take over after Daniel Craig.
There have been rumors.
Unfortunately, during this Wizard World Philly, during one of the panels, he said he didn't want to disappoint everyone.
But he did.
But he doesn't think that announcement's coming. He does want to play the role, but he doesn't feel like he's going to get it, and everyone's guess is as good as his at this point. But he does appreciate all the enthusiasm. Oh, I can't talk tonight. From the fans about it.
Yeah, I'm curious though. I will admit I have not seen the most recent Bond movie, Spectre. I've heard mixed reviews of it, but I'm curious if they will, since they've gone to so much of an effort with Daniel Craig run to do a hard reboot on James Bond as a character and start with a new origin story. Will they also take this reboot opportunity that going forward when they introduce a new Bond, have it be more transparent to the audience that maybe the name James Bond is a code name and a role that gets passed, like a mantle that gets passed.
Well, that's been the fan theory for decades.
I'm just saying that it'd be nice to see them actually embrace it and execute on it.
Well, essentially in Spectre, no, they put that to rest because they do say that it's actually his name. It was his name when he was a kid. There's no. It's a code name.
But we want to see Bond's next regeneration. Come on.
Yes, he went into a phone booth. It was strange.
Yeah, but even though they may have established that in that movie, it doesn't mean that they couldn't have it transform into that in the future. Like, they could actually have, the beginning of the next movie could start off with, if Daniel Craig isn't doing any more movies, which I don't know what the status of that is, but if he's done, have the opening of the next Bond movie, which will feature a new Bond, have an explanation of of his death, and have them come up with the idea and establish, this is, Bond was a very important, role in these matters. What if we were to replace him, and make this into a code name, and that could kick that off, and that could actually still happen. I'm saying that it wasn't a code name, but it could be one for the next Bond forward. Because that would also allow them to do things like, A, keep a continuity across the movies going forward, and B, let them introduce other ethnic or gendered Bonds without it being weird to explain. I don't know.
But they'll have to increment his bug fix number. Yeah, it's 007. Now it'll have to be 007 dash, what, 1 alpha? Or dash A, dash B, dash D. Ooh, the D one will be a Galaxy class.
It's not going to happen. Give up. It's
Give
not
up the
going to
ghost.
happen.
I'm not giving up.
James Bond is James Bond.
All right. Moving on.
Maybe. I won't say anything's definite.
Well,
yes. Oh, and then of course, another piece of news. We'll stay within the world of Marvel here for a minute. Sebastian Stan.
Stan.
It's
Sebastian Stan.
Is it Stan? I've always heard Stan.
Well, it's Stan.
Well, that is how you say Stan. I mean, that's how you spell Stan.
All right, continue.
He said during a panel at Wizard World that he hinted where you might see Winter Soldier next.
In Ragnarok?
No.
I was joking.
He said it's probably very obvious and very clear where he's going to show up again.
The Collector is going to take him.
He's going to be in the Black Panther movie.
Well, of course that makes sense.
Didn't guess that.
Since he was in Wakanda, that would make sense.
Yes.
Is he
put into?
Is he going to be part of the Dora Milaje?
I was going to say, is this going to be like one of those fighting games where you've got like Cap and Iron Man fighting, and in the background you have the frozen Bucky sitting there, and when one does his finishing move, the Bucky breaks, and
the Bucky breaks.
No, I think Bucky should become part of the Dora Milaje.
What are you talking about? I do not get that reference.
That is, Black Panther has an elite guard of like a security force, which is all black women.
Oh yes. Yeah, he'll blend.
That was my point. It just fell flat because you guys don't know your Marvel stuff, or at least.
Actually, I was talking about his arm, but it would kind of stand out.
Well, he does have the right number of appendages.
Well, they could replace his prosthetic arm with prosthetic boobs, and that'll fit in perfectly.
Perhaps.
Moving on.
All right, maybe we should get to some of the interviews. What do you think?
That's an idea.
All right, so we will start then with these guys were great. They actually had the table like almost not directly across, but across into the corner from Greg's booth where I was all weekend.
Yeah, and they just stare at your face the whole time. It's amazing. They didn't close the booth early or anything.
What caught my eye right away from across the aisle and made me want to talk to them, and it's going to speak volumes about me, people. It was the fine art Deadpool that they had hanging behind it. So imagine a nude, but with Deadpool mask.
It was tasteful. It was very tasteful.
It was tasteful. It was cut off right at the waist, basically. Well, right below the waist. Yes, and it caught my eye, and I started talking to these guys, and they have an online comic that everyone should be checking out. It is Cowboys and Robitussin, who is Gnarly Studios, and Christopher Walter.
And Lauren Niedelman.
Lauren Niedelman, who Gnarly Studios. So instead of us boring you with all these details, I'll just let the interview speak for itself.
Okay, we're live.
Are we?
Yep.
All right, so now we're here with Cowboys and Robitussin. How you guys doing?
We're doing well. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
All right.
So, what do you think of the convention this year?
We've been in our little hole most of the time, but I kind of dig it. It's seeing everyone, like all the cosplays that are going on. Like I saw Mary Poppins. Who cosplays Mary Poppins? It was freaking phenomenal.
I think what would have made it better if it was a cross-play. It was a guy who dressed as Mary Poppins.
Yeah. The dude who was the chimney sweep had like the mustache thing going on. That's like, you don't look like Dick Van Dyke, but it's still cool. Like, I'm digging it. I want to be a chimney sweep.
So, just tell us a little bit about your art and the kind of things you create.
Oh God.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
Well, I'm standing here looking at a picture of Deadpool naked, except for his mask.
Yeah. That's Deadpool in a nutshell.
Captures Deadpool's personality pretty well.
Yeah.
It is from about a little below the waist up, so
so you don't really see anything.
Well, Deadpool probably commissioned that himself, so you know.
Yeah, he was very nice. You know, sat down, all calm, like he's like, draw me like one of your French girls. So I did, and yeah, he loved it. Told me I should make prints out of it. It's good stuff. Ray is done in watercolor pencil with a digital background.
Nice.
Calvin Hobbs playing Doctor Who with Dalek Susie, all watercolor. The rest of it's digital.
So what inspired you to get into doing this?
I've been drawing since I was 5. We've just been doing it forever.
Yeah, pretty much as soon as I was able to hold a pencil, that's all I've been doing nonstop.
Yeah.
So we wanted to share it with other people.
Yeah. That's the best way to do it.
And I guess you guys are fans of all these genres as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we've got anime, we've got manga, we've got Calvin and Hobbes, which of course, Star Wars.
All right, someone has to explain to me the appeal of One Punch Man.
I don't know. I've never seen it.
Pretty much making fun of like every like action-y superhero anime.
Yeah.
Like big giant scary enemies will appear just like I am the strongest, and then One Punch Man comes along and just takes him out with one punch, and that's it.
I think I'm sold on One Punch Man after that explanation.
You have to see it. So, you have more different prints than this, and how long have you been doing it? Have you been drawing forever? Or?
Yeah, I've been doing traditional media for pretty much as long as I can remember, but I've just started doing digital painting, so kind of translating the traditional media into digital art.
So pen and paper compared with Photoshop or
Yeah, exactly.
CorelDRAW, something like that.
Yeah, we still do the comic, like hand-drawn and hand-inked.
Okay.
I'm thinking like maybe like Sunday editions will like do watercolor for coloring them in, like shading and stuff like that.
Do you find a benefit between doing it digital or doing it by hand?
I think so. It's definitely a lot cheaper than going out and buying.
Oh God, yeah.
paint supplies,
Digital
all that.
saves our wallet.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way.
But digital's cleaner. You know. But there's something about like traditional media. It's like even though it's got like a little bit of messiness to it, it's you can't really compare.
I was going to say, is cleaner always better?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Good point.
It's just they're so different, and they both have their own benefits. Like I don't see any bad stuff in either traditional or digital. They both have their own set of benefits. So it's like, what do you want to do? Like for these, I designed all the blueprints essentially to be autographed. So I think digital works better for that because you want the image to be clear, then you want the autograph on top of that. But Calvin and Hobbes, Bill Watterson worked in watercolor and ink, so it's like you want to use the same kind of material if you're doing an homage to someone else's.
Right.
They're both really, really fun. But like the thing about like paint, like if you mix the colors right, you think you're bleeding. And you're just like, oh God, how did that happen? And it's like, oh no, it's just some paint got on me.
Okay.
It's awesome. Either way, it's great. They're fun to work with.
So you guys already admitted that you're fans of the genres. So the two questions that we're asking everyone this weekend, obviously the two big things that came out in the news, comic book related. Number one, what do you guys think of Captain America now being an agent of Hydra all these years?
Lies. I won't believe it.
Yeah,
There's a lot of cringing going on here.
Yep.
I understand it's a publicity stunt. They want to sell more books. Okay, that's fine, whatever. But no, not with Captain America.
I'm not in support.
No. Whatever your political agenda, leave it out of the comics.
Yeah.
Unless you're gonna do Civil War, or like X-Men and how like that came out like during the whole civil rights movement, and like it was like pretty much a play on like Malcolm X versus Martin Luther King. That works. by the brain. Right? Is he going to have a mouse in a large mechanical body, like sitting in his chest?
Trying to take over the world?
Yeah, like, that's all I want to know. Is Captain America now brain? Does that make Iron Man pinky? What happened?
I like that.
I got nothing. Oh, it was a bad choice.
And then, of course, the other big news, there's DC starting the Rebirth. And
Again?
And of course, it was revealed that Dr. Manhattan is the one who actually created the DC Universe. And so he can just reshape it at any time he wants.
So that's why the New 52 happened. Dr. Manhattan got bored.
Yes, but
So, I'm tired of Lobo being cool. Let's make him an emo Twilight freak. There you go. No, thanks, Dr. Manhattan. Big blue pecker swinging around, effing shit up.
Basically.
I mean, honestly, I think it's just Dr. Manhattan is their ultimate mulligan. Like, now we can say he's God and he can just reshape whatever he wants whenever he wants.
Pretty much is. And in Watchmen, he did say he was going to go create some life.
Yeah.
I guess it kind of works. But, I mean, when did they really ever cross Vertigo with regular DC?
Well, originally those characters were supposed to be the DC characters. They didn't want their main characters to die. They didn't want their main characters in a storyline that was
Not
that
every
dark.
main character is the Green Goblin or Jean Grey.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just gotta stay dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. DC, why?
Well, hey, I'm a DC guy, and that's what I ask myself every night before I go to bed.
The first comic I ever read was The Killing Joke. It was so good. I still have it in near mint condition after 30 years. It's great.
And you're going to get an animated version of it soon, and that will probably be better than what even Marvel puts out in the movies. So,
I'm just looking forward to Mark Hamill voicing me again.
okay.
Well, I mean, it's DC used to be so good. And then you're like, New 52, let's crap on it.
Yeah.
Like who's Batman now? Like some pubic hair that got mutated? I don't know what's going on.
What's the other?
At first it was Bruce Wayne, and then like Dick Grayson takes over. Okay, cool, whatever. And then Batman's back from the dead. Why? And then
It's comics.
I've lost track.
Yep.
I've lost track. Don't get anymore.
That's why I've always liked Eric Larson and Savage Dragon, because it's like he ages the character and he goes through all what he's going through in his life. Savage Dragon goes through, and he has total control over the character and everything that is.
See, that's great.
Right.
That's good comic writing. Not like here's like 60 years of history and throw that out the window.
You should have seen when Savage Dragon was audited by the IRS.
Well, I guess that's what happens when you have a big scaly mohawk.
So where can people
Driving while green, that was his crime.
So where can people find you guys online?
Facebook.com/Cowboys and Robitussin is the Facebook page for the comic stuff. Facebook.com/Christopher Walter Art is my page.
Facebook.com/Gnarly Studios, that will be mine. We're also both on Etsy. Check us out there too.
Gnarly Studios is your Etsy, right?
Yes.
So Gnarly Studios, Cowboys and Robitussin on Etsy. Got all that stuff.
And you guys are you guys twins?
Yes, I am on Twitter as well.
Yes. I have the twatter. That's at Rorschach42 on Twitter and Instagram.
Cool. All right, and the question we usually like to wrap up with is, how do you measure success?
7.5 inches.
Oh, man.
Sorry, was that too much?
And there goes our PG rating.
Sorry.
That's how Deadpool would answer.
I was possessed by the ghost of Robin Williams.
Too soon now.
It will always be too soon. I loved Robin. He was like the king of comedians. Like I have my top 3, and then there's Robin. He is God. Now success is, to me, it's getting a smile off of the fans' face. Like somebody looks at the work and they're like, man, just freaking awesome. They get a laugh. Yeah, they read the comics. Like, we have a comic of my cat Captain showing his butthole. He's a cat. That's what he does.
Just generally getting positive reactions out of people, meeting other fans, like nerding out about like the same franchises and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Like your drawing of One Punch Man.
Exactly.
That's what caught my eye.
One Punch Man. So good. I haven't even watched it. It's good.
You got it.
Wait, what does that say about me? That's what caught my eye. It was naked Deadpool.
It means, well, it's naked Deadpool. How's that not going to catch your eye, dude? I mean, come on. It's naked pool, man.
All right.
Hey, well, thank you guys very much for your time.
Thank you for the interview.
Thank you. We've been talking with Gnarly Studios and Cowboys and Robitussin.
So like I said, those guys were great. They were funny.
So when you saw that picture across the way, Dave, how long did it take your eyes to wander up from his waistline to his mask? Like it was a good 5 minutes?
Longer than my heterosexual mind is willing to answer.
You see, I did not go straight for the Deadpool. I saw they had a portrait of One Punch Man, and that's what caught my eye.
Was he also...
No, he was not nude.
Are you certain?
That wouldn't have so much have caught my eye as have burned it out.
They also had something you would have appreciated. It was a Calvin and Hobbes Doctor Who matchup.
Nice.
Yeah, that was cool too. They had a lot of nice stuff there, and we have a actually, if you're listening to this, we're probably posting the picture we have of the Deadpool holding the portrait with this audio.
Yes.
And if you don't see that, that's because you got it through iTunes. Stop messing around and go back to our site and look at the pictures.
You'll appreciate the art. We trust us.
Or you'll gouge your eyes out. Either way,
we don't know. It's
it's better than another top 10 list. Come on, let's face it.
Let's see. Anything interesting else happened at the convention? There's something I saw online today, which I kind of was shocked, and I can see where the rumors came from. Apparently, there were rumors that Chris Evans had a panic attack and had to be rushed to the hospital. That didn't happen, and he got up and told everyone at a panel, like, no, that wasn't true, blah, blah. What had happened was he got there early, was signing autographs. He did rush out at one point,
he got the papers.
Surrounded by security. But I don't think it was anything like major. I think he just had to go do something, because he came back, did his panel. He was signing autographs again at the end of the day, but because he was being rushed out at noon, oh my God, something's wrong,
Well, that super serum is not really as consistent as it's made out to be in the comics. It does have ebb and flow to it.
Most likely he just had to go to the bathroom really bad, but, let's
it could have been some bad sushi.
Well, let's also face it. As nice as it is to be able to pay $200 just to get an autograph and a photo with them, the grinder that they put these actors through is incredible. I mean, I went there and I had the VIP pass for Haley Atwell, and literally you've got a line of a couple of hundred people, and they rush you in. They put you next to Haley Atwell. They tell you, look up, and of course, you've got your DMV picture face on. So you get the worst possible picture of you with Haley Atwell sitting next to you, so you're already at a disadvantage. Then they kick you straight out. You run to the next line, you get in line for the autograph, and there again, they just rush you the hell through. You literally see the star between the two of them. You literally see the star for maybe 15 seconds at the most.
But you had plenty of time to pull out that engagement ring and get down on one knee and, then jump over the desk.
I would have, except that the guy 2 people in front of me did the same thing, and I just don't like having my face mashed against the floor by security. So I balked.
That's why you have to remember, John, a penitent man kneels before Haley.
Well, yes, you will avoid the first Billy Club swipe, but not the follow-up tasering.
Well, you tuck and roll.
Tuck and roll.
And roll.
Hi, will you take my marriage? Goodbye.
See, I just assumed they did it on the second floor, so they had like trapdoors, hatches to drop people through.
That's not a bad idea. That's what they should do.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then let's see, who else did we talk to, John? Actually, John, I'm a little disappointed in you. You ran around and got a lot of interviews without me.
Yeah, you were kind of busy, and also whenever I went over to say hi, you said, "Are you here again?" So I kind of, avoided you after that.
I did not say that much.
That's true. You didn't say a whole lot. You just
suggesting
threw
that
things
Dave
at me.
can be curmudgeonly? Because I think he resembles that remark.
Well, he's not quite up to my level, or down to my level, so to speak. But he's getting there. He was at 3 days straight working a booth, having to deal with a bunch of nerds and geeks and selling stuff and being on his feet that long. Yeah, he got pretty bad there. He was not a happy camper.
Yeah, it's tough to be a gangster.
Oh, you're gonna make people gonna think when I'm nice to them at the table that that's all an act now.
I mean, it's not.
It is, but I don't want them to think it. So who was some of the people you talked to? I believe Blind Prophet was someone you talked to without me.
His name is Joseph, and I'm going to murder this last name probably. Joseph Cillo, Cillo, Joseph Cillo Jr. And he started his own publishing company called Infernuity Publishing LLC. And he is publishing, he came up with the idea himself, and he's publishing a comic book called Blind Prophet. And he's got 4 issues out, of which I got complimentary copies, and it looks pretty good. The art is amazing, and we'll post the name of the artist there because I don't have it in front of me because I'm an idiot. But
no one's arguing.
Of course not. So I got a chance to talk with him and about how he set it all up, where he got the ideas, the whole 9 yards, and he had a very interesting story to tell. And here it is. John O'Grady at Blind Prophet in Infernuity Publishing LLC.
Yes.
And I'm speaking with?
This is Joseph Cillo Jr. I'm the writer and the creator of Blind Prophet and the owner of Infernuity Publishing.
Okay. Thank you for giving me some of your time. So you're here at the Wizard World Comic Con, and you've got a 4-part series so far. Are there going to be more to this?
Yes, there'll be a total of 7 to complete this story.
Okay. And the series is called Blind Prophet, and you could tell me a little bit about it if you want.
Okay, so Blind Prophet is a story of a boy who's born blind and autistic, and then they do an experimental procedure on him to try to stimulate his vision, and he starts seeing angels and demons in the spiritual world. So he ends up developing his power further to actually know what the demons are planning and has visions about that. And then, so his mission is to try to talk people out of doing what the demons are trying to make them do.
Okay. And how did all of this come about? How did you get into this?
Well, I was reading a book called The Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis, which is about demons tempting man and trying to corrupt his soul. And at the same time, I had seen a television show about autistic kids who had amazing special abilities. Like this character has an ability to play on the piano anything that he hears. So I kind of put those 2 ideas together and said, what if you had this kid actually gain this kind of sight of seeing the demons trying to tempt him?
Okay. And the process of going from the idea to, it must have taken a lot of work to get that to the point where you've got 4 printed books in front of us. So was it hard, or did you have to learn along the way about, did you self-publish first, or did you find a publishing company? Did you have to find an artist? How hard was all that?
Yeah, so I originally wrote it as a screenplay, but I was thinking of it as a comic book character, kind of a big comic book story.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I figured that Hollywood wasn't going to exactly do the story the way I would want to do it anyway, so I said, let's make it into a real comic book. And then I hired an artist. I checked around. I got some artists who had done this kind of work. And they were busy, but they referred me to a website called Freelance, which now is Upwork.
Okay.
You can hire freelancers who do this kind of work. And posted the project on I got in contact with Gabriel Santiago, who's the action writer. I gave him like a test project to do, and I did well, and that's it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we hear a lot of stories about hiring artists because usually the writers, they have a great idea, but they can't even draw a stick figure like me, and there are horror stories about hiring artists, having them drop out halfway through a project or something like that. It looks like you got lucky because the artwork is actually incredibly good. And is it watercolor or just?
Well, he works in, he does pencils and then he scans them into the computer and does the rest of the photos.
Oh, okay. It's edgy, like, but
yeah, it kind of has a unique style too. It's not a classic Marvel.
No. Although it does seem to fit the storyline that you've said. And from there, you get your artist, and you went to. How did you get it published? How hard was that?
Well, I formed my own publishing company, so that made it.
That works.
I made the publishing choice to publish this book, so I think it would be better to have a separate company rather than just go along.
And how does that work? You're forming your own publishing company?
Oh, it's pretty simple. You just actually file the papers to create an LLC, and then start looking to get the work done, and then we have to try to market it. Places raising, marketing, getting it in the stores, getting a distribution deal, which we haven't really done yet. So I had originally kind of did this as a single graphic novel, but it was really taking so long to publish to get it completed that I wanted to start marketing sooner. So that's why we published it, broken into episodes, and published it this way. But these comic books are actually too expensive to try to market in the comic book stores. You can't give them the discount they want in order to try to sell them.
Right.
And sell it at a profit. So we'll be able to get there once we get to the graphic novel. So right now we're actually working on putting the first 4 episodes together as a graphic novel as part of one. And that we will be able to get in the stores and get the distribution.
Cool. And now that you've got these 4 here, so you're selling them at the Comic-Cons now to drum up business or to drum up interest and all that?
Yeah, so really the whole goal here is to build a following. So we're going to Comic-Cons, we're selling, we want to keep the price low, so these are price, the first one's at $3.99, and the second one's, next one's at $4.99. Because we want to keep that. We don't want to scale up buyers for a high price tag, but it makes it so that we squeeze them along the margin, so this is really a promotional effort. Actually, what you're doing here is done as a graphic novel. Actually, printed to make a profit. The margin is going to be released to help with the white.
Yeah.
But this is a way to try to start generating and start building.
And how did you find the process, or how are you finding the process of actually writing the story? Is it coming out like the way you first envisioned it, or are you making adjustments along the way?
Well, I made some changes when we went from the screenplay to the graphic novel comic books in order to try to streamline some of the beginning of the story that had more things in it that we could take out. It's kind of a natural process of owning it a little bit, because you do the same thing if you were going to make a movie. Really, the next step to making a movie would be the storyboard of the story, which is very close to making a comic.
Oh, sure. You've made movies before, or worked on them?
No, I haven't, but I know that I kind of research the process of what they do.
Okay.
First you start with a script, and then they go and storyboard, lay out everything, and then they get what they call a shot script, the shots, and how the angles of the cameras on it. So my first script was just the dialogue and the descriptions of the scenes. I didn't focus on getting down to the detail level of how the camera angle would be and that kind of thing. That's really something you need to do. So the next step, though, is to kind of not very far from making a comic book. So it's a little bit easier now to market the story if you can actually see what it's going to do. So when you're marketing just a script, the person reading the script has to really put that all together in his own mind. You have actual comic books that show it. It's easier to sell that.
Yeah. So, all right, speaking of storyboarding then, how did you find the process of working with the artist? You said you wrote out the script and you wrote out what the scene should look like. So, how was it getting the artist to draw what you would envision, or was it a collaborative process where the artist may have suggested something?
Yeah, so what I did is I went through my movie script and I laid everything out in PowerPoint, just in panels, to say, this is the material that will fit on a page. It's hard to even know that, just looking at words on a page. So I just basically framed out boxes of where the pictures would be as a first cut. Now, I always told him, don't be tied to that, because you might find better ways to lay it out, but this will give us an idea of how much material we get on every page, how much dialogue, how many different changes of scene. And he always changed it. He always did better than anything I could imagine. So,
very good.
It works out very well. We have a good collaborative relationship. There haven't been too many disputes that we haven't been able to resolve. We work very well together. So really, it's been a really good relationship.
Excellent. So you have the first 4 episodes here. You say there's another couple of episodes in this series. Do you have anything planned after that?
Yeah, I can't even think about that right now.
Okay.
I can only think about so many things. Once we get it done and we have some time to market the first one, we build enough of a following and people want to know the sequel, what's going to happen next. Because it actually ends with the big villain, the big demon running off. He's still around. He's just scared off. So it is set up for a sequel.
Spoilers, by the way. I should add that.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
No worries.
You can't really kill a demon like that. So he's very. He goes off angry at the end and planning some pretty nice things. So we got visions of what he's planning to do, as we always do. That's what the prophet does. So it's not exactly a vision of the future that the prophet's seeing. He's seeing a vision of what the demons want the future to be. Right? So then you have a way to change that. By talking to people, talking them out of doing what they're trying to tempt them into doing. The demons only have indirect control of people by tempting them to do things. That's the idea.
Okay. What do you think overall, how hard it is to get into the comic book, get into writing comic books, getting into this whole thing that we're in here with, the cons and getting into the business of writing them? Because we've interviewed people that have done comic books from Marvel and DC, the big ones. We've seen or heard of a kind of a balance between, I don't want to work with the big ones because they'll tell you what you have to write, or I want to work for the big ones because then my name is out there and I like those characters. So what do you think of this whole system right now?
Well, I went totally independent because I want to have total control. And when I was thinking of making a movie, that's what I was thinking. I'm going to lose control of this thing and they're going to make it something that I didn't want it to be.
Yeah.
This way I'm working with one artist and me, and that's even hard enough to get what I want out of it. So, it's not that hard because we're pretty much on the same page on almost everything. But there are times when I have to talk to others about what I really want to make sure I get it. Because I want to tell the story that I wrote, not whatever somebody thinks is going to sell real well. So I'm making choices about what I want to do, about what anybody else wants to do. The only hard thing about that is funding. I was blessed to make enough money to be able to do this. So I can now focus on hiring the artist and paying them a good wage to do the work and getting what I want. So I'm the one paying the piper. When somebody else is paying the piper, then you lose control. That was my whole goal of doing it. So it's easy to make comic books. It's a lot harder to make money. So that's always the balance.
Yeah, and the startup scratch is the hardest thing to get, especially if you have to hire an artist and you want really good work. or so we've heard.
Yeah, that's so. Gabriel really hadn't done anything this big before, so I got him for a pretty good rate. Trying to pay this as well as anything. That's one of the things is that we are looking at
Okay. So we'll kind of end it here then. One of the questions that my taskmaster has continually made me ask is, how do you measure success?
How do I measure success? Well, if I can get the graphic novel out, get enough distribution to pay the bills on it, then I think we'll be where I can say it's a success. Ultimate success would actually be to get it onto the big screen as I had originally imagined, because that would really be able to reach a lot more people with this kind of story, which is not typical Hollywood kind of story. So it's an exciting story, it's a big story, but it's got kind of religious elements in it that sometimes Hollywood doesn't do.
Well, wish you luck in it, because it does look like a very interesting story. It looks like it would translate very well to the big screen, considering.
I think it would. I think it would. I'm just worried that they would monkey around with some of the things. Go read the school tape letters, and that's kind of what it's about. That's about one person being tempted. This is about the demons trying a big plot and get a lot of people to get a lot of pieces moving in the right direction to get everything working out to the big evil scheme to work out. But it's the same kind of concept, and it's a little different for Hollywood. They're not going into that spiritual level these days. So it's a little bit different angle.
Okay.
It's not like your typical superhero movie. This is one of the things I wanted to get away from. The superhero is always, at the last minute, trying to use violence to solve the situation. This is stopping the evil villain from making the decision to be the evil villain. So knowing what the consequences are and saying, oh, I don't want to do that, right? I'm going to take it to the courts. Right? Because you've all seen it in all the great comic book villains. They're all sitting there saying, I am going to do this now, right? There's that moment where they just become the villain. Right?
Yep.
We're trying to say, don't become the villain. Right? That's the idea behind it.
Okay. So where can we find you? Where can we find your stuff?
Okay, we have a website. It's called www.mindprofitcomic.com. That's all one word, Mindprofitcomic. And that will have links to different things on there. And you can buy it from there. That's the only place you can buy it. Either that or you got to see me at Comic. So those are really the two places. So we're anywhere else where we might be doing talk or something. So you buy it directly from me or at the website right now. Comic books. When we get to the graphic novel, we're hoping to get into this.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for giving me your time, and good luck with it.
Thanks for doing it.
This is John O'Grady with Joseph. I'm going to have to. Joseph Cillo Jr. and these illustrated by Gabriel Santiago.
John, that was such an amazing interview. I can't believe you did that by yourself.
By the way, for informational purposes, it was illustrated by Gabriel Santiago.
There you go. Thank you. And most people can't believe I can tie my own shoes by myself. So, once in a while I have to surprise
to do it every day. And I keep spreading those rumors.
Well, I got to save all my energy for my anger, for my rage,
if you could teach your horses to do it, it would be so much easier.
They're not quite there yet.
So one of the other things that came out this weekend, besides John, Stephen Amell.
He came out this weekend?
Yeah, no, he came out this weekend to meet fans. And they did the premiere of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Philly, which they don't normally do. And unfortunately, we couldn't make the premiere. Sorry, people. Which we could have had an opportunity to talk to themselves directly.
Stupid wives and children.
Yeah, John would have felt them up though, and we'd have been arrested.
Well, I don't think it would have worked because I I don't know. The rumors we've heard about the movie are not, great. And if you watch Stone Gremlin at all, it even scared the cinema snob into saying how great a movie it was, which is saying something if you know that personage.
Anyway, he did announce that he wasn't allowed to speak details about the villain for season 5 we're going into for Arrow now.
Season 5, yes.
Yeah. But he did say that it is very much a callback to season 1.
Well, it kind of has to be because just in the fact that the flashbacks at this point are his last year on the island.
Yes.
I would think it would more have to do with the fact that Flash himself just reset the entire freaking universe. I'm just wondering.
Details, John.
Yeah, but you got to wonder how they're going to handle that because they can't just continue Arrow on normally if a Flash saving his mother has major repercussions because it would affect that show too.
Maybe.
Right?
Well, we're going to get that. We're going to get that into that very second.
Right.
Very much in a second. Ugh, I can't talk tonight.
We're also going to tattoos of that late in a second.
Mm-hmm.
The villain. He also says the villain is going to ground the show again, bringing them back very much to the same feel that the early season 1 and 2 had.
So in other words, not a metahuman or a mystically powered.
Exactly, another like vigilante type villain. So, I mean, that's interesting because, as John was alluding to, we're going to obviously have Flashpoint. It's going to have to affect the other shows. There's a feeling that they might collapse the universes together now that Supergirl is on the CW with them. So, is it because they feel that we'll keep Arrow as the grounded show and we'll have all the fantastic stuff happen on Supergirl and Flash and Legends? Or, is it a fear to have too many, weird things on all the shows?
Well, just quickly, it is kind of hard to make a plot line work where you're sending a guy with a bunch of arrows and a bow after an all-powerful magician.
Yeah. His only real weapon against him turned out to be hope.
Dr. Feelgood.
Isn't it like sending a guy with a bow and arrow after an Asgardian god? Oh, sorry. Anyway, so go ahead.
It worked out much better, though. But
what were you going to say? But yeah,
I was going to say that I feel that there might be logistically some level of that to sort of allow Arrow to be less fantastic and leave the fantasy elements to the other shows. It could also actually be budgetary so that they can shift some of those costs, like balance, like basically save money on Arrow so they can spend money on the other shows in more effects for those types of things. But again, I think that is a big part of it is going to be the story element of being able to sort of circle back and tie back to their roots and make him remember and bring us back to what he was 4 years ago, or at least remind us what he was 4 years ago.
A whiny murderer?
Well, yeah, in a sense. Like, he's not that now. I'm not saying he would go back to that, but sort of parallel that, and it could be an interesting path for him to see what he was in someone else and try to figure out how to course correct both for himself and for this other person he's dealing with, if he can.
Right. No, that's yeah, I'm sure. I have a feeling it's going to be that kind of story, a parallel of him and another vigilante and him trying to, like you said, save that person, let alone not just bring them down.
Because it hasn't been since season 1. Season 1, he was the one time where his adversary, he was able to turn, so to speak, because his adversary was Merlin, and he sort of brought him around to his side of things. So he sort of bounced back the other way, but he did at least for a time bring him, to the good side of things. Every other adversary is basically he's ended in imprisonment or death for whoever it was.
Right.
So it'd be nice to see maybe a less black and white, more, nuanced season again.
So, and speaking of probably needing more money for other shows,
I mean, 2 capes do cost more than one.
Yes, apparently the big news that came out today, before we started recording this, the first 2 episodes of season 2 of Supergirl, as it launches on the CW, will finally show us Superman. No more of this, just seeing his boots or seeing his cape.
They're going to cast someone. They said they've started the casting process, so it's unknown yet. Tom Welling could be a contender. I liked your suggestion earlier, Dave, of Matt Bomer.
Yes,
Matt Bomer. Well,
look him up. He'd be a good fit.
He's a little bit smarmy for a Superman.
I don't know. Have you seen White Collar?
White Collar, yes, a little bit smarmy.
I love him in that, though.
Yes, I love him too, but not in a cape.
But he's got a great smile.
Well,
and I know my wife's a fan of him from his other works.
Okay.
Well, he's already played Superman
vocally.
Yes, he was the voice of Superman in Superman Unbound.
You know who I like for it, though? I like this guy named Brandon Routh.
Actually, I would be okay with Brandon Routh. I thought Brandon Routh was great. He's great as the Atom, but I don't think they could do that because he's already playing the Atom.
Yeah, and it'd be weird to have that be his doppelganger. That would just be really strange.
That would be weird.
As strange as his Flash's father being...
Well, yes, and I'm still having issues with that, people.
I'm
let's not discuss it.
I have some issues with that, too, but I'm willing to accept that he's essentially the same person, just because of slight variances ended up with a different name.
And a different, a shift of about 40 years.
How do you figure?
Because his last name is different, right?
Right, but that name is in his family. It was stated previously that Henry Allen's his mother's maiden name was Garrick, so that name was in his family. So essentially, this Jay Garrick that we met in the end of the Flash was Henry Allen. He was born of the same versions of the same parents, but somehow they had different names. So Garrick ended up being his last name instead of Allen, and he got the name Jay instead of Henry.
Right. It's one of those things where you can argue, well, when you are in a parallel universe, it's the butterfly effect. There was one slight thing that changed the time, things enough where he ended up being Jay Garrick instead of
it could be
Allen.
And a butterfly became Superman?
Well, it could be. But it could be as simple as, he had the same 2 parents, but those parents were gender swapped. So they were genetically the same people, but Henry Allen's mother was Jay Garrick's father, and vice versa.
I think you need to try harder to convince me.
I'm just saying, there's ways that you can explain it without too much of a stretch of the imagination.
Anyway, we're not talking about that. We're here talking about Wizard World and the weirdness of them bringing Superman in when there was this feeling for a long time that they weren't going to show characters that are in the movies on the TV show. And it kind of sits there and makes you go, are they only allowing them to do this because right now Superman is dead in the movies?
No.
Or is it they finally gone, okay, since they're separate universes, we can have all the characters on the TV show and all the characters in the movie. Since we're already screwing over Flash, let's screw over Superman too.
I think maybe they've heard enough of the type of rhetoric that we've been spewing for 2 years now on this matter that they are finally saying, all right, we're going to stop fighting this. Let's let it happen. I think, honestly, to some extent, it could be because it's on the CW. When it was on the CBS, that when they were trying to capture a mainstream audience, I think they were very concerned about confusing the audience with multiple depictions of Superman. But now that it's on the CW in a niche market of superfans, then I think they're less concerned. Even though they have sort of been kiboshing those types of things in Arrow for years now, I think they're finally admitting that they can have nice things, that they can coexist.
You mean that we can have nice things and they can provide them for us?
But I definitely agree, Ben. I never thought of it that way before, but it's true. Since it's not one of the big 3 networks or 4 networks, and it's more of a smaller audience.
Right.
They don't feel like it's going to affect the overall experience of the movies because it's a different audience. Or it's only a very small subset of the audience.
Yeah, but I don't think that's true. I think, given cable these days, most people who have CBS are going to be able to get CW or even they might have CW and not CBS. So
you're missing the
he's
point.
Talking numbers.
I'm talking about the numbers. You're talking a CBS audience is a large audience. When they chose to air that show on CBS, it's because the parent company felt strongly enough. The News Corporation felt strongly enough that Supergirl could appeal to a mainstream audience. Because there was a mainstream audience for superhero properties on the big screen, that there could also be one appeal for them on the small screen. So why relegate it to the niche network where all their other similar shows are? Why not put it on a big network where it could get a lead in or be a lead in to other things and see if that could work? It was an experiment because they knew that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had mixed success. They were trying to parallel that. Unfortunately, they weren't happy with the results, and they, after a season, said, all right, screw it. CW, you guys can have it now and have fun. And put it back in the hands of those who know the audience that they're catering to.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
On a much more
Yeah, I think that's true, and I think you're going to have less notes from network that are counter to what Warner Brothers wants to do with these characters, as opposed to, I'm sure on CBS it was like, oh, you can't do that because it's going to upset the McDonald's people or whoever the advertiser is. No, you can't do that because we find that women age this to this don't identify with that anymore. So.
Yeah. And the truth is that even though the audience numbers matter to them, those Nielsen numbers do matter to them, but they matter to them not just because they want the show to have a big audience. The advertisers matter to them. The advertisers care about those numbers, and if the advertisers aren't getting those numbers, they're not going to advertise in that slot. So they moved it to CW where those numbers. The thresholds are different, so they can now fill that slot on CBS with something else that can get those numbers and can keep those advertisers and carry that forward.
Right. Unlike movies where they don't need to worry about advertisers, they need to worry about backers and a good idea.
You'd think. That may have been the case way back in the past.
Right. Like a car that DeLorean
go back there. There's some way to go back to the good old days when movies knew what was important.
Would we want to come back to the future if we did that?
After we brought the right messaging and the right people, I think, yeah, definitely. We come back to the future, straighten things out, get us our damn hover cars.
Or at least our hoverboards.
Yes.
So that was the other thing this weekend at Wizard World, is they had all the stars, well, not all, but most of the stars from Back to the Future, including Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox, Leah Thompson, and they had the co-creator of Back to the Future, Bob Gale, who's Robert Zemeckis' longtime writing partner. And of all the people that we got to talk to this weekend, he was one of them.
Ooh. Yeah, and he was definitely a very important part of the Back to the Future trilogy in writing those screenplays, and had been a screenwriting partner with Zemeckis for several other movies in addition to that.
Right, they actually are friends. They met in college, and you know what? Look. Let's not bury the lead here, people.
You're not here to listen to us.
You're not here to listen to us. You're here to listen to our interview. So, without any further ado, here is Bob Gale.
We're superheroes speak, and it's not a podcast unless we have technical difficulties.
I imagine the sound quality of your interview.
So actually, one of the first things I really wanted to ask you was looking on your Wikipedia page, and I know Wikipedia is not always the most accurate.
Really?
But it says that you were a comic book fan growing up.
Oh, yeah.
Who were some of your favorites?
Well, I grew up... When I grew up, I needed to survive with I read The Death of Superman when it came out, right?
Oh, okay.
When I was 9 years old.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, all the Silver Age of DC was just getting started when I got interested in comic books. And then, by the time I was in high school, I changed that for Marvel. How did you find out about the guys?
Yes.
And you know, it's funny. It's like back with those Spider-Man, I mean, didn't get any better than that.
And the rest is history, as they say. So is it your love of comics that got you interested in making movies?
Well, I mean, it's all visual storytelling. When I was in junior high school, my ambition was to work for Mad Magazine. That's what I thought would be the coolest job in the world. And then, when I was in high school, I always liked creative writing. I always liked coming up with stories. I actually wrote a time travel story when I was in the 9th grade. Grew up on the Twilight Zone. George Powell's for Time Machine. When I was in high school, picked up an 8mm camera. Got a bunch of friends together, and we started making callbacks and Rocket Man, Commando, the production was asking you to do. It's also something that was staple with my childhood. And I got the filmmaking bug.
Okay. And then you went to college for film writing?
USC, film production.
And that's where you met Robert. So, and then I know you did a couple movies before 1941, but how did you get involved with 1941? Because as far as I know, that's the only straight-up comedy that was directed by Steven Spielberg. So it has a special place in my heart because of that.
So your age was more naive than Bob and I were trying to get a job somewhere, and we had a script that we gave to a fellow USC alumni named John Millies. And if we haven't seen the documentary on Netflix, Millies, put it on your queue and watch it. Because it really captures filmmaking in the 1970s in Hollywood. Millies read the script. He really liked it. He first said, we just made a movie called The Winning Line. He had a 4-picture deal. 2 movies that he was going to write and direct. 2 movies that he was going to produce and write and write it. But he said, I want to do for you guys what Francis Coppola did for me. What particular manner is it to write Apocalypse Now? He said, so do you have any ideas for movies? And we told him about this incident that we come across where there was this false alarm earwig in Los Angeles in 1942. And no one was actually knew about this. That's going to be a jaw dropper. And he said, that's great. Let's set it up. I'm going to call it The Night the Japs Attacked. So we developed it at MGM. We had to change the title, obviously.
Right.
But Millies and Spielberg were good friends. You know the story that Robert Shaw's soliloquy about the SS Indianapolis in Jaws was written by John Millies. If you didn't know that, you'll see this documentary in the road. So Millies is telling Spielberg about these 2 lunatic guys that he hired to write this script and all the crazy shit that's in the script. Steven said, I got to read this script. John gives Steven the script. Steven says, I want to direct this. I got to do this. So he was slated to do Close Encounter. But he said, I want to do this. I want to do this Close Encounter. So Bob and I did rewrites the 1941 for Steven down in Mobile, Alabama while Steven was shooting Close Encounter. So we'd work. We'd go down and watch Steven shoot. We'd go write some more scenes. We'd kick around ideas at night with Steven. It was a fun time.
Yeah, I have to imagine. I mean, I know that back then everything was practical, so I'm sure there was giant sets and all that kind of stuff to play on. Yeah, cool. So, one of the things I'm curious, you and Robert Zemeckis are the co-creators of Back to the Future. Who had the original idea and then who built on it?
The original idea, for years we kicked around the time travel idea. I mean, we wanted to do a time travel movie, but we were never able to figure out what it was. And the bolt of lightning struck when I was visiting my parents up in St. Louis, and in the summer of 1980, I was back visiting them. I found my dad's high school yearbook. And I discovered that my father had been president of his graduating class. And I attended the same high school with my dad.
Okay.
I thought about the president of my graduating class. He was an asshole. And I said, geez, was my dad one of these Politico rah-rah spirit guys that I couldn't stand? If I had gone to high school with my dad, what would I have thought of him? Would I be friends with him? And that was, that was it. That was it. What if you could go back in time and be in high school with your dad? Oh, man.
Wow, okay, yeah. No, and that's actually a great point because my father was an athlete in high school, he was a big basketball player, and I was never interested in sports. So, wow. I never thought of that. That's an awesome idea.
And it's kind of something that a lot of people think about, too, as they get older.
Yeah, well, people always say to me, well, why is the movie still good? Why does it still speak to people? And it's because everybody has wondered, what did my parents do on their first date? You know, I mean, it doesn't matter what country you're from, what your religion is, what your culture is. Everybody, at some point, when they realize that somehow my parents got in a sack together, how the hell did that happen?
Yes.
How did I get here?
Was there a reason why they had the heart set on a time travel story? Was there a reason why they had the heart set on a time travel story? Like, why did they pick time travel? Was it just something we want to do a movie on that? Or?
They is me.
Yeah.
Oh, the producers are you?
It's me.
Yeah.
It's the Max.
It's the moment that
If you're going to go to high school with your dad, you have to go back in time.
Okay.
So, how else do you do that?
All right.
Because you said you started with a time travel story.
No, we just said that what we were fascinated by originally was the fact that everybody always predicts the future incorrectly. You know, we're thinking about the future that they told us we were going to have when we were kids.
Right.
I mean, in the future that Bob Zemeckis and I told you guys we were going to have, right? When you were kids.
Where's my rehydrated pizza?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So everybody always overestimates what's going to happen.
Yes.
And so we thought it's going to be cool to figure out a way to put those kind of images on the screen. A movie that took place in the world of tomorrow as imagined like in the 1939 World War.
Right.
Which is, sky captain in the world of tomorrow.
Right. Okay.
That looks fun,
Yep.
right? But we were never able to really figure that part of it out. So there was no human aspect to that.
Right.
Which finally came about when it turned into a story about the kid and his parents.
All right, so you were given the sign to kind of wrap it up a little. Since I asked you about the comics in the beginning, because we are a comic book based podcast, do you still keep up with comic books now at all?
I read mostly Image Comics and the independent stuff. I've kind of gave up on Marvel and DC a long time ago. The continuity was just.
I was gonna ask, because one question that we're gonna probably ask all the artists this weekend is, What's your opinion on the Captain America being revealed as always has been a Hydra agent and the DC rebirth of the...
I have no idea.
Okay.
Don't even know about it.
All right.
What books do I read? My favorite book is probably Astro City. I think it's probably the most consistently good comic that's out there. You guys not read that?
No, but I'm going to look it up now.
Oh my God! Kurt Busiek? Oh
Shamed.
my God! Yeah,
I'm shamed.
And the one question we always wrap our interviews up on is, how do you measure success?
How do I measure success?
Yeah.
Well, look, Back to the Future, who could have imagined that here we are over 30 years later, so people are still talking about that. I mean, that doesn't happen. My God, how great is that?
Yes.
Right now, hey, what's success? It's being happily married for 31 years, and having a wonderful daughter that I love more than anything, and not having to worry about paying my bills.
Perfect.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you very much.
So welcome.
Thank you very much.
And
See you guys at the show.
one quick thing. Just a little something. It's our promotional item that we give to everyone. My wife said,
The one comic book you want.
do a comic book podcast, why don't you do a comic book about the show? So, yeah.
You guys know that I wrote one of the first drafts of Doctor Strange back in 1986.
Yes, I did know that.
So that was actually one of the greatest things was getting over Stan Lee and finding out that he really is smart and really
Is that the one that was made for TV, or was it never made?
Feature film, no. TV.
All right. Again, well, thank you again.
Okay. Thank you again.
Have a good show.
Thank you for everything you've done today.
See, I could have talked to that man all night, but the problem was we were at a media event that Wizard was hosting, and basically it was kind of not as bad as when you're in the line for getting an autograph with Hallie Atwell, but you start talking to him, there's other reporters waiting behind you, and then you get the tap on the shoulder from the PR guy, and he's like, all right, 2 more minutes or 2 more questions.
And there are interviews going on either side of you with other people.
Yes. But again, it was a lot of fun. Gave us some good insight on where the idea for Back to the Future came from and how they got started with 1941, which is, like I said in the interview, that has a special place in my heart because, as far as I know, it's the only Steven Spielberg directed straight-up comedy. Can you name another one?
No.
I can't. But I'm not a King aficionado.
Yeah. So, cool. So, boys and girls, we had a lot of fun this weekend, and we actually talked to more people. But instead of giving you one giant 2-hour episode, 2-hour plus episode, because this one's probably already running longer than we wanted to, we're going to break it into 2 parts. And we're going to have another one coming out very soon that has the other interviews that we had this week. But yeah, so John, do you have any final thoughts about the convention?
Yeah, hand sanitizer, a lot of it. Bring it with you next time. And it was a really great convention. And I'm glad I'm starting to go back to them now after 10 years of being away. So it was a lot of fun. I can't wait to put up all the other pictures that we've got. I have a lot of stuff that you shall see soon on the website.
Yeah, I was going to say you could put all of those pictures on a nice little article on the website.
Yeah,
or just on a post.
At least in a draft, they can sit up there for a while.
Oh, nice. I have only one thing to say: 2 Star-Lords dance off. I have it on tape.
Nice.
Yes. There'll be stuff coming on our YouTube channel as well from the convention. So keep an eye out for all that stuff, boys and girls. And until next time, as always, don't let your cape get caught in the door. Have a good week.